I opened my eyes to a sky I did not know. 2 pale moons hung above me, and a dry wind pushed sand against my face. For the first time in 10,000 years, I felt truly alone. The Astronomicon was gone. The warp was silent. My connection to humanity, stretched across 1,000,000 worlds, simply vanished. The emptiness hit me like a blade. I reached out with my mind, searching for even the faintest echo of my Imperium. But there was nothing, only a still, quiet space that felt unnatural. The ground under me shifted with every breath of wind. I stood and scanned the horizon, but all I saw were dunes stretching endlessly in every direction. The heat pressed against my skin, yet the silence bothered me far more. I tried once more to sense the warp, to feel the familiar roar of psychic energy, but this universe did not answer. It was as if the fabric of reality had been wiped clean. I took my first steps across the sand, feeling something alive moving far below the surface. It was massive, powerful, and strangely patient, like a predator waiting for the right moment. Nothing on Terra ever moved like that. I kept walking, letting my senses adjust to this strange world. The air tasted dry, but there was something faint within it, a spice-like scent that tugged at the edges of my awareness. Hours passed before I finally noticed shapes in the distance. A group of humans moved toward me with steady steps, their bodies wrapped in protective cloth and strange breathing devices. Their eyes were the first thing I focused on, blue inside blue, glowing softly even in the dim light. They did not fear me. They looked at me with curiosity, respect, and a hint of certainty, as if they had expected someone like me to appear. They called themselves Fremen. With few words and calm movements, they invited me to follow them. I accepted, not out of trust, but out of the need for answers. They led me into their underground refuge. The air grew cooler, and the scent of spice became stronger. When they asked who I was, Kay told them only that I came from far beyond their stars. They shared their own story in return. They told me the name of this planet, Arrakis, a world of sand, struggle, and something precious called the spice melange. They spoke of the empire ruling over them, the noble houses fighting for control, and the long, harsh life of those who lived here. I inhaled the spice deeply, and a spark ignited in my mind. Not the warp, not chaos, but something else, something older, like a faint doorway I could almost step through. For the first time since arriving, I felt a small piece of my old strength return. A question formed inside me, sharper than any blade. Why was I brought here? Whatever the answer was, I knew it waited somewhere on this desert world, and I was ready to find it. Word of my presence moved faster than I expected. I felt it spreading through the desert, carried by whispers, doubts, and fear. Before long, the first group arrived to inspect me. They wore calm expressions, but their eyes studied every detail of my body and every shift in my breathing. They called themselves Bene Gesserit, and they believed they understood the limits of human ability. They tried to test me with their voice, shaping sound in a way meant to slip into my mind and command me. The moment they spoke, I felt the intention behind their tone, a small push meant to bend my will. I pushed back effortlessly. Their attempt broke like a wave hitting stone. I watched their surprise, their tension, and their silent worry. When I answered them, I let my words touch their thoughts directly. They were not prepared for that. Some stepped back, unsure whether I was a threat or a possibility. They asked who I was, how I survived the deep desert, why I could ignore abilities they trusted for centuries. I gave them no full explanation. The less they understood, the safer my path would be. When they left, I could feel their questions echoing behind them. Not long after, another great power reached out to me. The Spacing Guild had sensed a disruption. Their navigators, locked in their spice-induced visions, struggled to see the future clearly. My arrival blurred their paths, twisting their predictions into fog. They demanded a meeting, claiming they needed to understand me so they could protect their travel monopoly. When I stood in the presence of their navigators, I felt their fear instantly. Their bodies were swollen and stretched by spice, but their minds were sharp and cautious. They tried to read me through prescience, but as soon as they reached toward my timeline, their vision collapsed. It was as if my existence cut through their ability, removing a piece of the future they depended on. I saw them pull back emotionally, desperate to hide their concern. They offered travel, secrets, and information if I shared who I was. I refused, gently. Their power was great, but it was built on a single substance. One weakness, one dependency. Without the spice, they were blind. Their entire strength stood on a fragile pillar, and they knew it. Then came the great houses. Atreides approached with caution, but also with respect. They looked into my eyes and saw honesty. Harkonnen viewed me as a threat, measuring every breath I took as if they were calculating weaknesses. Other houses watched from a distance, unsure if they should fear me or use me. I observed them all quietly. They played a game of politics, but their moves were predictable. Their ambitions were small compared to the forces I had seen across galaxies. Even the Emperor Shaddam IV sent messages filled with polite greetings wrapped around hidden warnings. He wanted to know if I was a danger to his throne. The more I learned, the clearer everything became. Power existed everywhere in this universe, but it was unstable. It was built on spice, fear, and guesses about the future. None of them understood true command. If I wanted a place here, I would need to shape my path carefully before this universe tried to shape me. The Fremen watched me closely from the moment I joined their deepest siege. At first, they treated me like a stranger who somehow survived things no outsider should survive. But over time, their curiosity changed into trust. I earned it not through force, but by listening, learning their ways, and showing them what I could offer. Whenever they tested me, I answered through action. I lifted machinery they believed required 10 men. I walked across soft sand without sinking, using careful control of my weight and balance. When the desert storm struck, tearing metal plates from the ground, I stood against the wind and remained unbroken. They asked how I did these things. I told them, strength without purpose is nothing, and purpose without unity is weak. That idea stayed with them. Slowly, they let me guide their warriors, showing them how to move in formation and how to strike with precision instead of wild fury. I taught them to read the rhythm of an enemy, to understand patience, and to trust each other completely. Their confidence grew every day. At night, I joined them around the spice fires. The air thickened with the smell of melange. When I inhaled it, the world shifted in ways that felt strange but familiar. My mind stretched forward, seeing thin lines of possibility connecting one moment to another. It wasn't the warp. It wasn't chaos. It was something else, like a quiet stream of time that could be touched if approached gently. I used those moments to understand this universe more deeply. The tribe noticed how my eyes focused when the visions came. They whispered among themselves, saying the spice spoke to me differently. They wanted me to lead them to become a symbol they had been waiting for. I refused their titles. I told them they did not need a savior, only a guide who believed in their strength. They seemed to accept that, and in return, they offered loyalty that felt genuine. With their trust, I began organizing their fighting groups. I helped them strengthen their hidden tunnels, improve their weapons, and prepare for threats beyond the desert. I taught them how empires think, how rulers behave, and how to strike at a system without becoming slaves to anger. They listened, eager to learn, hungry for a future where Arrakis belonged to its own people. Word spread far beyond the sands. Envoys whispered about a new force rising among the Fremen. Great houses started accusing each other of helping me. Some saw opportunity. Others saw danger. Shaddam IV felt the shift most sharply. His attention turned toward the desert with growing unease, even the Bene Gesserit felt their prophecies bending around my presence. The Spacing Guild found its visions clouding every time they tried to follow my path. The balance of power that held this universe together began to crack. I felt the change too. The weight of this world slowly tilted, and I could sense the old order struggling to stay upright. I had not planned to become the cause of such a shift, but now that it had begun, I would not run from it. The day everything reached its peak, I felt the weight of the desert pressing against my thoughts. Shaddam IV had finally moved. His Sardaukar marched toward Arrakis with the confidence of soldiers who believed no force could ever match them. The Spacing Guild pushed the idea that I must be captured before I changed the universe beyond repair. The Bene Gesserit reached out one last time, hoping to read my intentions, but every attempt slipped from their grasp. My presence bent their senses the way heat bends the air. The Fremen gathered around me with fearless eyes. They trusted me in a way I had rarely seen in any world. Their steps were steady, their breathing calm, their resolve unshakable. I stood with them at the edge of the deep desert and felt the ground tremble with the movements of the planet's oldest giants. I knew the Sardaukar thought they were hunting us. They had no idea what waited for them beneath the sand.